Musicians, can you please stop moaning about Spotify? I'm not interested anymore, right? I don't know how I get out of this. I'm a musician. I have to have like Instagram and Facebook and all these things. You know, I've tried to get out of them. I did a big video saying I was trying to get out of them and I couldn't bloody message anybody, right? Because I lost all my contacts, right? And it's annoying. And I tell you why it's annoying is because when I switch on Instagram or Facebook, because I have all the contacts in the music industry and they're full of a certain type of person, I have to put up with stuff like this.
Spotify's CEO, Daniel Ek, has taken the money that he should be paying musicians, the money that you are paying him in subscriptions every month, and he's invested it in an AI weaponry company called Helsing. Now, Helsing has developed something that it calls a reconnaissance strike software platform. That's an automated target identification and mission management system with the option to keep a human in the loop. In other words, it's machines selecting which humans to kill on the battlefield. It's dystopian. Now, Spotify says it's just for use in Ukraine, and Helsing says it's just for use by democracies. And I wonder if it's just for use by the highest bidder. It doesn't stop there either, because Spotify donated $150,000 to the Trump campaign, a man whose policies and rhetoric have targeted minorities and torn communities apart. More recently, Spotify have been running ICE recruitment ads, ICE being the US Immigration Enforcement Agency, known for family separation and detention camps. And for those of you engaging in whataboutism and saying that other platforms run those ads too, well, they don't have to. They have a choice, just as you do. I've not even mentioned the fact that they pay artists so little. I feel like we've been burying our heads in the sand on that one. I know I certainly have. If you want to know more about that kind of thing and the history of the algorithmic mess that we currently find ourselves in, I recommend Liz Pelly's excellent book, The Mood Machine, or having listened to the Drowned in Sound podcasts with Laura Bird. I think they're called something like Disarm Spotify. And listen, none of these big streaming platforms have got the answer right yet. I think the only ethical solution is to go to the gigs, support the artists directly, buy from Bandcamp, or even better, straight from their merch desk. That said, it's not necessarily realistic for everybody to be able to get out to shows, and streaming is a huge part of everyday lives for a lot of people. So I recommend you go and have a look at Kubuzz, which is a French company known for its transparency, its fairness to artists, the quality of its streaming sound, and also, and perhaps most importantly, for the fact that it's not investing in propaganda and war machines.
Now, it's not like I've really got a big problem with what he's saying. It's not really that. It's not that winds me up, okay? So let's just pack it up what this guy's saying, all right? And then I'll try and tell you why it niggles me. He comes on and he says Spotify doesn't pay musicians enough, right? Then he says, but the profits that they should be paying to musicians, they are spending on AI warmongering devices. Sounds like some sort of robot thing that will sit there killing everybody on a battlefield. And then there's a little bit of discussion about where this will be utilised and stuff like that. And then he goes over the same stuff again. And then he says something like, I haven't mentioned the actual money that the musicians get, which you have. You said at the beginning it wasn't enough. And then he says, go and read this book and go and do that. Who reads books? If you're a musician like me, who reads books? I don't read books. I don't go looking at stuff like that. I ain't got time. I'm doing music or doing YouTube videos. Right now, I'm being slightly facetious. And the reason is because I don't want to come across in the supercilious manner that this man has. So let's back up again. Let's have a look at it again, right? What I see is a mousy man, middle-aged. He's walking around. He's got the little round glasses. He's talking in the voice a little bit like that. He ain't talking like me. I mean, I'm exaggerating at the moment, but we can tell what sort of person this is. Shouldn't judge people by their accents, you know. But this bloke's, you know, I'm sure when he was a youngster, in house, when they had a salad, it was brought out in wooden bowls. You know what I'm saying? In wooden bowls. Right? That's his background. No problem with that, but that's who he is. You know, hello there, my name is Joel. Right? And then he is walking and talking to camera. Now, I don't know where he is, but he looks like he's in his garden to me. But it can't be a garden because it's as big as a county. Right? He's walking and walking for the whole time he's talking, he's walking, and you can see the house in the background getting further and further away as he walks through the twinkling sunshine coming through his beautiful orchard that he's walking through. Right? This is a posh man who is wealthy and comfortable, and there he is at the bottom of the garden moaning about Spotify. He's moaning about Spotify and now it doesn't pay any money to who? To him. Right? I googled him, John Wilkes. There is a John Wilkes, it's not him. So I don't think he's made his money out of music. So who is he? He's coming here telling me about music. It's like me. I'm telling you about music. You know, I'm on here telling you about music. Here he is telling you about music. But who is he? You know, a posh bloke in his big garden walking up and down. So why is he telling me about it for? But that's all I see. I was just about to do another video. I just checked my phone and this one comes up. And then I thought, well, I'm niggled now. I've looked at that. I'm annoyed and I can't get into my video because I'm niggled by that. So I thought, well, it's music. Let's talk about it. Talked about it in the past. Let's talk about it again. But, you know, let me try and get my head around why this bloke annoys me. Okay? He's wealthy, he's sorted, he's fine, right? If there's a problem, tell me your problem, right? But I don't think he's got a problem, really. If he's doing music and he can get his music done and he's got a great big garden, he's fine, isn't he? If he's doing enough music to call himself John Wilkes Music, right, then he's fine. What's he moaning about? What he's moaning about is that he doesn't like what the evil Spotify owner, flaming bloody who owns the older Spotify. Right, so when the industry went down, because technology changed and people's listening changed and the culture changed, when that happened, which is about 20 years ago now, and we could all see it was going on, we all had to then think about how to change our careers if we were musicians. And I've ducked and dived. I've ducked and dived my whole life because I'm a musician. I've done all sorts of different things. I ended up in teaching. That's one way of earning a living, isn't it? Out of music and do some teaching, I suppose. Did that for a while. I found it actually quite rewarding. I found it very creative. I enjoyed it. I liked it. But then that started to change, you know. Now, I could blame all sorts of people for that. Who am I going to blame? Shall I blame Daniel Ek or whatever his name is? Shall I blame him for education? Not on there, you know, they don't want to have music in colleges anymore. They don't like it. Don't want people learning rock and roll. Spending taxpayers' money on kids learning how to rock. I mean, what's the point in that? There's no point in that. Who would want that? Nobody. Let's take it off the curriculum. Nottingham University has just shut down its music course, I believe. Another one gone. They'll all be gone soon. There'll be no music education as we had it. Will that be a bad thing? I believe it really will be a bad thing, right? But that's not the issue here. The fact is that the writing on the wall was there for me 4 or 5 years ago, and COVID was the big destroyer for me. And so I had to rethink my career. Now, when you rethink your career, or you think even just thinking your career in music, right? You got to know about the industry for a start. You got to know about it. That's the first thing, right? If you stand a chance of making a living out of music, the first thing you got to know is how you make a living out of music. So you're going to know how it works, right? I've spent 30 years working in the music industry and teaching it. So when these guys start talking like this, I thought, well, how much do they really know? They might be musicians, but how much do they really know? I used to have to teach about Spotify, right? And I had to teach Spotify to kids who were sat there making dance music, and a couple of them were banging their tracks out on Spotify, and they were getting lots and lots of listens, right? And enough for it to bring them in a bit of an income every month, these little kids. They're only teenagers, only 16 or 17. But there they are, working at home in their mum and dad's, bedroom they've given them to work in, so they ain't got any rent. They're just doing, maybe got a little bit part-time job, paper round. The kids do still doing that. They got their paper out, they're doing the music. And then they got, they might be bringing in 150 quid, because they're getting a lot of listens. They're making dance music. There's dance music and all the sort of popular music. That does quite well. And there was one kid we had who was doing really well. And I'd listen to these middle-class types walking around their big gardens, and I'd think, what do you want to do? Take away this kid's income, right? He ain't got a great big garden. He's just a working-class kid. His mum and dad in council house. He's got a little box room at the bed. He's got his little music computer. He's banging about dance music, and he's making a living. And if he keeps going, he might turn into something. What do you want to do? Take that away from him? Why? How about just not judging it? How about just walking away from it, and just going and feeding whatever animals you've got wandering around, the peacocks or whatever. Just go and feed your peacocks or unicorns or whatever it is you got in your garden, and leave him alone. Right? And I feel like I am championing these kids who are putting their tracks out. I feel like I'm championing these kids that are at the bottom of the barrel. And I know, looking at them, that they don't stand a chance in the music industry. You know why? Because they don't talk like that. That's why they don't talk like that. The kids who did well from my college, even the ones I saw, most of them came from a background where they all talked like that, right? That's the bottom line. That's the way our country works, here in the United Kingdom. I don't know what it's like in America and elsewhere, but that's what it's like here, right? And I saw it. And so kids that were 16, 17 could get into our studios, because they didn't have access to recording studios. They could get into the college studios, make a track, and then they could sit down and we could show them how to launch it across all the platforms, because nobody puts their stuff on Spotify, right? Musicians don't put their stuff on Spotify. They go to a streaming service and they put the tracks in and they pay whatever it costs to pay. And then that streaming service puts it across everything, including, right, the woke streaming service, which is Qbos, apparently. Now, I've got nothing against Qbos. Get your stuff on Qbos. Will you get the listens on Qbos? No, because nobody listens to it. Everybody listens to Spotify. That's where you put your tracks up. All right? Stick them somewhere else if you want. It's pointless. So I don't know why Mr. Big Garden, right, is basically... Sorry about that. It's basically, when I get annoyed, that's what happens. You see, it's what was once in needs to come out, and I'm really acting in such an ill-mannered way. Those of you who noticed my acting in such an ill-mannered, many of you may not have noticed. Maybe nobody noticed. Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned it. Maybe I could have got away with it. But the reason I'm acting in such a gross way is to accentuate the fact that however I act right on here, in the end, I ain't posh enough for this industry. And I'm not posh. I'm not proper working class, not at all. My dad was worked in the car industry, and he was got up to the status of director. He was the boss. That's not enough. Not enough for these types. There's so much more that you judge people on than that. Spotify is a streaming service. You're not forced to go on it, but it's the biggest one out there. When you register your tracks, which anybody can do, it's completely democratic. It doesn't stop anybody. You could be a working class kid in your bedroom or a bloke with a massive garden, right? Anybody can do it, and anybody can get their tracks out there. In that way, it's democratic. You go there and you put it on the streaming service, and it puts it up on all the streaming services for you. They're all up now. It's on YouTube Music. It's on iTunes. It's on Apple Music. It's on Deezer. It's on Spotify. The biggest one's Spotify. So you put your track up there. Then your track gets played, and people go onto Spotify and they listen to it. They haven't paid for it. Now, the reason why they're listening to it is because there's adverts on there, and people pay for the adverts. And so you go to Spotify and you say, can we run some ads? They run your ads for you. And then they look and they go, that track was being played when that advert was shown. But the thing is, and this is what you got to understand, is that a track is like 3 or 4 minutes long. And they can't play an advert for each track. So the advert money gets spread across the tracks that were being played there. And I'm sure if you got into it, you'd find out that there's a split that's going on that's not quite like that, that you are basically got a listener amount, and then that's taken into the pot, and you get a share of your pot based upon how many listeners you've got. I'm sure that would be a much more easier way of doing it than having it all tracked like that. But either way, okay, there's a finite amount of ad revenue money there to a huge amount of artists. Okay, because songs are short. Listen to me. Songs are short. Okay? If you were to do a podcast and put it on Spotify, the deal's completely different, right? And this is what's wrong. It's the delineation of the deal which has come from the record companies. We'll get onto that in a minute. So there's this ad revenue. So say you do own your track and say it gets millions and millions and millions of listens, right? Then you will get a cut of the advertising that's coming for you. Now, I believe it's around about 60%. You are getting the vast amount of revenue. How Daniel Ek makes that company work, I don't know, because they are skimming off the tiniest profit. I think they've got their profit margins down as low as possible, right? The company's worth a lot of money and it's all smoke and mirrors. You know how things are, but I don't think it's making that much profit for Daniel Ek, right? So what Daniel Ek does is that he set the company up and it's called Capitalism. People then pay to have a subscription, that money goes straight, and he pays himself a huge salary out of that. Now, every single company in the world does that. Every single one. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but every single company does that. He takes a huge profit out of the company that he set up. All right, pays himself a huge salary. The profits that they get, they then invest. This is called capitalism. This is what you do. You invest it. And they've invested in weaponry. Okay? So that's what we've got going on. But I think 60% is a really good deal. To be on a platform with ad revenue and getting 60% is great. I had to change what I was doing. Now, I'm not saying I'm all knowledgeable about the industry and I went YouTube's where it's at. But now I earn my living online, right? And I've had to change my shtick. I've gone from being a drummer with a load of sort of lefty type, you know, artsy fartsy friends. That's where I was. And I kept my mouth shut because I knew it was the best thing to do. Now I am a loudmouth, semi-comedic, you know, YouTuber that talks about jazz and prog, and I get irate and I do something which the other ones don't do, which is sort of act as a cathartic outlet for middle-aged men who are bloody sick of this type of thing, right? And I know that's why people come here. And people, I can rant and hate a band that people love, but they'll still come. They like me ranting, even if they don't agree, they like it, right? Now, I wish someone had told me this. I said, you know, you're quite a good drummer, Andy, and you can play the guitar, and you used to teach, you're quite a good teacher, you know. But your best talent is moaning, right? It's moaning and getting angry. That's what your best talent is. I'm doing it right now. Think I go through life like this, talking like this? No, this is something I've honed and developed on YouTube. And that's what I've monetized. And it's great because it's linked to music. I'm sat in my recording studio here. I play music. I chat about music. I feel creatively that I can do whatever I want. And when I bang it on YouTube, it's all down to me. Capitalism again. It's all down to me to do videos that people want to do, right? And I change what I do, right? I'm always searching. I'm always pushing, right? I'm always trying to find it. I got this from Rick Beato. That's why I love the bloke. Rick Beato does exactly the same thing. He doesn't just stick to one thing. His channel's called Rick Beato, so it's him. You go and see him because it's Rick's show, right? And Rick used to do music theory stuff. Then he started to do, you know, his 10 favorite guitar intros. Then he went on to looking at Spotify and going through that. Then he started to do interviews. He loves the interviews. I can see he loves capturing these incredible musicians, you know, in old age or semi-old age, and capturing what actually happened, because the establishment music critics, the standard establishment music critics, their critique was to not ask questions about what compressor was used. Oh, we all want to know. People will want to know in the future. They'll want to know what compressor was used on bloody Bohemian Rhapsody, or how many guitar takes did so and so get to do so, and all that. That's what I want to know it as well. We all want to know it, you know. And so he has continually changed. This is the game, right? It's not fair. But that's the game. I like it. I like getting up in the morning and doing a YouTube video, coming in here, doing a YouTube video, putting some information across, talking about something. I put a video out every single day. Sometimes it's straight down the line, just talking about jazz. Sometimes it's comedy stuff. Sometimes it's speed playing. Sometimes I talk about the industry. I've got a lot to say on all these things, right? And I try and put it across in a way that even if you don't agree with me, it's at least entertaining. Where's the entertainment in this, you ask? In me being so irate about it, right? And I am genuinely, but normally my irate is all kept in like this. You know, I'll go on my phone and this bloody poshy bloke comes out. He's walking up in his garden telling me how I shouldn't be on Spotify and how bad it is, you know, and I'm a bad person. I haven't even got any stuff on Spotify. Well, I have. I've got some stuff on Spotify. I've got all my podcasts on there, and I did start putting a number of tracks up. But when I put it up there and I saw the return on it, I went, there's no money in this. And I buggered off somewhere else. I didn't blame anybody. You know, why haven't they made a streaming platform for me? I want one for me where I get loads of money. I want to be paid it all, but I don't want to be able to virtue signal that I haven't got lots of money by saying I won't support all these terrible things. Bloody hell. Why do you want that? Because I'm comfortable enough and privileged enough to be worried about these things. You know, I'm not just just trying to get the food in my mouth and stay alive. I've got myself comfortable. I need to be able to show people how comfortable I am. And that's what winds me up. 60%, 44% is on here on YouTube, 44%, and I'm just about putting food on the table. I ain't got a big garden like him. Right, I'm 57 years old. Nobody wants to employ me. Nobody wants me as a music lecturer anymore. I've got all the contacts in the college. They know who they are. No one's ringing me up and saying you can. Even now, I got this channel and I've had every bloody legend on it, and I got all the people watching me, including people in universities, people with PhDs. They come to see Andy. They want to hear what I've got to say. I've had Ted Joyer actually quote me. And yet, after a lifetime in education, all my ex-students, you know who you are, my ex-students who are lecturers in other colleges or people running colleges or associates, and they ring it up and say, oh yeah, my students were talking about you. They've been watching your YouTube channel. You should come in and do a lecture with us. Well, they don't. They wouldn't offer me a job. I was sat there, bloody hell, feeling like that bloke out of Let's Call Saul. You know Saul Goodman? I am the Saul Goodman of music education. You know the bloke I'm talking about from Breaking Bad? That's me. I'm watching it now and I'm thinking, that's me. That is me. There I am. Right? I feel exactly like him. Frustrated. Nobody wants to know him at the moment. I'm on series 4 at the moment. Nobody wants to know him. That's how I feel. Right? That's how I feel. Okay? You can't have morals when you're trying to stay alive, when you're trying to put food on the table, when you're trying to get your family to that point. Everybody will shit on you from the greatest height, and nobody really gives a toss whether Spotify or not. You only give a toss about that when you are comfortable enough to give a toss about it. 60%. I'm getting 44% here on YouTube. And that's enough for me to get in. I've gone around in a circle. This is the point. I'm getting 44% here, and it's enough for me to cut even, right? I haven't got any extra money, believe me. There's no extra money. We're not going on holiday next year, okay? But I can pay the mortgage, I can pay the bills, I can keep this place going, right? I can keep going. I'm 57 and the bastards haven't got me yet, right? That's the bottom line. And I don't give a toss about Spotify. I went on it and I was like, this is not for me. It's bugger off. There's no money in this. But there could be money for someone else. And stop being so arrogant to think that someone's not completely happy on Spotify and that if their business model, it works for them. But that's not really about it, is it? What you're upset about is that they're funding, he's putting money into defense or attack, depending on how you see it. Some AI robots that will sit there deciding who's going to get shot on a battlefield or not. Okay? And that's what it comes down to here, isn't it? That's what it really is. There's the moral conundrum. Do you want to put your music up on a channel where the profits that are made by your music, which is a total lie, because the profits that you are made would not pay for the bloody casing of a bullet that you've earned them? It's not you. Stop having the bloody arrogance to think you're little tracks that are doing nothing on there is paying for this stuff. No, somebody else's stuff's paying for that. It's got nothing to do with you. Stop involving yourself in it. Please, everybody wake up and see the way it really is, okay? You can be against that, and I have no problem with it. If you think it's wrong for them to be financing that type of war stuff, fine. Don't do it, right? Don't go walking around the big garden telling everybody like you're something special, hoping that the light will, reflect right behind you in the right way. And as you say, it will look like a great big halo as you stand there all righteous. I'm sick of righteous people. I'm sick of posh, privileged, righteous people coming out in their comfort and telling us at the bottom that we're just trying to keep going, just trying to find a way of getting this to work, what we should be doing. And if you are someone who uses Spotify and you're happy with it, just ignore this bloke. Right? It's not about the ethics of whether Spotify is right or wrong. It's about the fact that this is bullshit. It's just crap. And I can't believe nobody sees it. Right? If there's a third world war, then we're going to have to fight. Like we did in the Second World War, like we did in the First World War, like we did in all wars. Wars happen and you have to fight. When you've had a period of peace, as we had since the Second World War, even Western liberal democracies, other people haven't had peace. They've been blown up and blown here and blown there. And I bet you when they were there, sat in their house, waiting for bombs to rain down on them, I bet they wished that there was some company called Spotify that was attached to their country that could send up some AI and shoot those bombs down so their children survive. Because when your children are going to be killed, you don't care. I'm sick of this. I'm sick about reading the Ukrainian war. I'm sick about reading about the Israeli-Gaza war. Both sides are the same. When someone's attacking, right, Israel's dropping bombs on Gaza, killing everybody. And in the end, there's moms and dads in there with their little kids getting killed. But by the same token, Hamas are firing rockets. And I've spoken to people in Israel, and they're set in Israel, and they don't want rockets sent their way. They don't want it. And if they've got some AI system that will wipe Hamas off the face of the earth, they would push it. You would push it. I would push it. To save your kids, you would push it. Everyone's going to save their kids. Always. And if my kids come running up to me when they're much older and say, Dad, I've committed murder, hide me because the police are coming to get me, I will hide my kids. Right? We all would. Right, the sort of parent that would say, no, you've committed murder and drop their kid in it, right? I don't understand them. That sort of basic morality, not politics morality, not the stuff that I talk about in my politics. This isn't about that. It's not about that. This is about this really simple, and I really want to get this across. Right, you can read books about how terrible Spotify is. You can target Spotify. I promise you, every single company is like that. That's capitalism. That's the system where we're in. If you don't like it, it's really simple. Just pack up and go somewhere else where they don't have a liberal Western capital democratic system. Go and live there. China could be the way for you. Venezuela would do it. North Korea. There's all places you can move to. Go move there. Don't moan on me and show off your big bloody garden because it'll get on my nerves because I haven't got a garden like that. I'm jealous of that. But by being jealous of that and not listening to the elites that are telling me all this stuff, for some reason, I get labelled right-wing. Okay? I don't give a toss about Spotify. I will never put my stuff on there. There's no money there. They offer a service. It's there if you want it. What they do with their profits is they invest it. Well, some people might think it's terrible that they're putting it into defence and stuff that can kill people. Some people might think, well, we need it, don't we? And if there's a big war, we'll need all that stuff, so it's better for us to have it than somebody else. And those opinions are both perfectly valid, and I can understand somebody not being happy with it. Well, don't be happy with it. Don't put your stuff on Spotify. Go and put it up on Bandcamp, because Bandcamp is the best place to stream music for artists. If you're a creative artist and you're not going to get a lot of views, don't even bother. What are you even bothering with Spotify for? Why are you having the conversation about Spotify, right? Wouldn't it be better for Mr. Big Garden to walk up and down telling you how he got his big garden? Wouldn't that be more useful? Wouldn't it be more useful to get past this gumph, right? And for someone to actually come online and tell musicians who ain't got a clue because they don't walk in those circles how you make money out of this business. I'm going to try and tell you it now. And if you want, I would love to come on here and tell you how I make money on here, right? What you do, how you do it. I would love to do that. I would love to democratize this process because that is what is coming. The big businesses have gone and Spotify is sort of an intermediary there. Streaming music is like, you want someone to listen to your music, they're going to listen to it for free. Are you going to earn money from people listening to music now? That's gone now. That's all gone. You can't charge money for it. It's gone. It's gone. Don't expect the fact that Spotify are handing over that money. They shouldn't hand over any of the money. Right? They shouldn't hand it over. They can have the whole lot. They're doing you a service because people can listen to your stuff all over the world. Honestly, that's an incredible thing. And if that's all you want, go on Spotify. Okay? It's bottom line. It's not where the money is. Anyone who makes you think the money's there, it's there for bloody podcasters. Podcasting is a better art form in terms of having a living and making money than making music is. It's bottom line. The world still needs music. It still needs musicians. It needs music being created, but it's gone into a secondary or tertiary role now. It's in the background, right? When you had the great sort of Victorian landscape painters, and they would put their paintings up of a great big fat cow in an art gallery, and all the hoi polloi would then queue up to see said fat cow, and they'd all go, oh my God, look at the fat cow. Well, the bloke who painted that was even more of a fat cow metaphorically than the actual fat cow. He was set up for life. Set up for life because of his big fat cow painting. But now if you want to look at that painting, you don't have to go and queue up in an art gallery that you've had to go down to and maybe get an inn to stay at, you know, and then go and walk in and see it and then go all the way back and probably pay to see it. That's gone. Because you just Google big fat cow Victorian painting, you'll find it. You'll find the big, he looks ridiculous. He looks like a bloody shoebox with little legs coming out of it. It's like a great big square cow, right? You go Google it, it's on the internet. You can't charge anybody for looking at that cow, and you could no longer charge people for listening to your music. They will listen to the music that's there, whether you put your music out or not. Get your head around that. The money's not there anymore. Let go. Now, this bloke says, you know, go to the gigs and pay the money, use the money off their merchant desk. That's nonsense, right? Absolutely nonsense. There's only one way you can gig, right? And the only way to gig is if you are so big that when you go to a venue, you say, do you want to put this on? And they go, yeah. And they can put a poster up and put it on their social networks that you're playing, and you sell, say, 500 tickets at least just to start cutting even, right? And nobody's got that, right? I have between 500,000 and 1 million people watching this channel every single month, right? If I went to a local venue and said, look, this is the reach I've got millions of people watching me every single month. Do you want me to put me on? And they put me on, I would probably sell, with me pushing it like mad, because I've done this, I would sell 20 tickets. Right, it's unrealistic. Stop sitting or standing in your big garden and telling people that there's some industry there that they should be negotiating, you know, so that they can make money out of it. You're just tell them straight, so there's no money there. You know, put your stuff on Spotify. Don't bank on the money. If you're a pop artist, right, and you get billions of streams, you will make some money. Why would they have Spotify for, Andy? What's the point in it? I'll tell you the point in Spotify. Predominantly, the tracks that are listened to on Spotify are old. If you put new music up, that's not really what people are going to Spotify for. They're going to listen to the old music. It's all up there. So, all this old music is owned by the record companies. They sign deals with their artists. Those deals were in favour of them. Always has been. You know, I've got a record deal at the moment. I'm not doing anything with it. We've all walked away from it. You know, everyone's talking about how to get out of deals rather than get into them now. Right? Because they don't work. So the record companies are sat there going, what do we do? So say they've signed up Led Zeppelin in the past, or whoever it is, Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark, any artist you can think of. They put that album out when it came out, and they sold a ton of it. And then they sold dribs and drabs. If it was selling enough through time, they kept repressing it. Certain albums got deleted. And then someone else would come along, oh, let's put them all back out again. And then suddenly albums became available. Or they packaged it up in new packages. Then CDs came along and, oh my God, we could sell the catalogue again. Get Dark Side of the Moon, dust it off, let's put it out on CD. They put them all out on CD. They were crap transfers. Nobody really knew how CDs worked. So a few years later, so we remastered them and put them out again, for CD. That's great. They did that. And then they said, why did we do a double disc edition, put a live concert on the other side and sell it back to them again? And they did that. And they're still doing it now. Dark Side of the Moons will come out every few years. Right? And they will get more and more expensive. And at some point in the future, we can expect the 550 disc box set of Dark Side of the Moon, right? And this will have everything on it. It will have AI, will have recreated all the sounds that Roger Waters heard throughout 1973 when they were making it, right? It will all be there. Absolutely every single thing you want to hear will be there. And it will cost £100,000, and they will sell 10 copies of it to millionaires who have to have everything, and they will make £1 million. The record companies have to sit back and look at the legacy that they've got, what they own. They go, we own all this stuff. How can we make money out of it? Try and get it in a film. Get it up on the radio. Well, no one listens to the radio anymore. Well, what about Spotify? I know, but Spotify don't pay any much. No, but when we stick our stuff on Spotify, it gets millions of views on something that we've had for bloody 40 years, 50 years. It's a way of making a dribble of money out of it again. Stick it up. Yeah, but what about the profits? We get all the profits because that 60% goes to the record company, and then the record company take that 60% and they take 15% of that or somewhere thereof if the guy was lucky enough to have that deal, and they give that 15% to the artists. And all the old artists like Neil Young and Joni Mitchell go, oh, it's not fair. I want to get more money. Right? And they blame Spotify. All the multimillionaire musicians, all the lefty multimillionaire musicians blame Spotify. It's that Spotify. No, it's not. It's the deal you've got. Well, I'm taking my stuff off. I don't agree. Remember when Neil Young did it over Joe Rogan? I don't like Joe Rogan. Right, he's a right-wing fascist Nazi, and I'm a virtue-signaling millionaire lefty musician, and I'm going to take it off. Bruce Springsteen, you're going to take your stuff off? Jodie, you're going to take your stuff off? Come on, we can't have this. They take it off. That's better. Then they look at their checks a couple of years later. Well, it's dropped down a little bit when you took off of Spotify. Well, I'm getting to where you were getting a little bit. You're not anymore. Well, I'll stick it back up then. You see, this is the thing, right? This criticism of Spotify is not really about anything. That's the way I see it, right? It's a matter of choice. I haven't got a problem of somebody thinking they don't pay the artists enough. If they sat down, because I've gone through it, if you sat down and looked at the profit margins, right, and you see that the way Spotify can have your tracks out there is because it exists in this nether digital world where all the profit is sort of in the ether. The shareholders sit there, they put money into it. Daniel Ek sits there, he takes his money out of it because why would he want to do it, right? And he takes way too much money. And I wish we had some socialist paradise where we could tax him, but it will never happen. What are you going to do? Track him down? He'll just run off to another planet. Or go living in the bunker with bloody, what's the name in Hawaii? Can I just sneak in there? No, get your own bunker. Right, what do you expect them to do? There's always going to be some country somewhere that's going to put them up and they don't have to pay tax. What are you going to do? Just forget about it. I would love for him to turn around and say, right, the project's done. Spotify, I've got billions and billions, right? I am now going to commit suicide, shouldn't say that on YouTube, and I'm going to give the money to the people. And you can spread it out between everybody. All those billions, all these billions can be spread out. And the next you wake up in the morning, you go, oh my God, look, there's an extra 67 quid in my account from Daniel Ek. Thank you, Daniel. What should we spend it on? You go out for a meal, perhaps? Go to Alton Towers or some sort of similar, amusement park in your country that you have. Sorry to be so British-centric, but that's what you get with me. You could do all these things, couldn't you? It'd be all the stuff you could spend your 67 quid on and be really good. Of course, really poor people, they will spend it on what? Food, no. They'll spend it on lottery tickets and drugs. That's what they'll spend it on. And why shouldn't they? Their lives are completely miserable. If that little bit of extra comes off and it's not going against some bloody debt, they will spend it on something that just takes them out of their shit existence. That's the reality of the situation. What do these people want? Why is the posh man with the little glasses, the mousy posh man, walking around his big garden in his lovely twinkly leaves in the background, looking all English aesthetic and pretty, and telling me in his plummy voice, what do you want me to do? If I'm sat there eking a living out of Spotify, then okay, I'll take it down and take the hit, because I don't want to have bloody AI robots shooting somebody in the Ukraine. Okay. Or what do you want them to do? Go, well, sod you, I'm going to keep it up there because I only brings in 40 quid a month, but that's what it's bringing in. Or, okay, then I'll come off it. I wasn't getting much out of it anyway. Isn't it? What wouldn't it be better to just, rather than virtue signaling like that? Because it's not even the virtue signal. We all virtue signal. Right, I am actually not virtue signaling now. I am putting on an act which is comedic for you. I'm telling you the information. You've now learned about Spotify, but I've done it in a ranty old man way where I'm actually sacrificing my reputation, because certain types will go, oh, I don't like that Andy, he's so uncouth. You see him, oh, he never swears normally. He was swearing on this and getting angry and saying, I'm sure he probably supports Trump by the way he was talking. Yeah, and he's probably a racist. Why is he probably racist? Because he's pointing out the fact that we're virtue signaling in our big garden. I mean, who would dare do that? I'll tell you who would dare do that. Someone who hasn't got a massive garden, otherwise known as all of us. Right? This is political. Okay? Musicians, when I put your stuff on Spotify, don't listen to the little owl-faced man in his big garden. Don't listen to him. You don't need to. Do what you want. If you want my advice on Spotify, unless you're making really accessible pop music and you've got an outlet somewhere else, like say TikTok, and you've become massive on TikTok, somewhere else where it's pulling out that makes you no money, because TikTok's not going to make you very much money. Instagram's not going to make you much money. Spotify will make you money if you're doing podcasts. Where's the money for musicians then? It's here on YouTube. It's in Patreon. It's in Bandcamp. Not as much, but it's in Bandcamp. It's on Substack, believe it or not. You can get some money coming out of Substack if you know what you're doing. Right? There's loads of ways of making money online. And I'm sure there's loads of ways I haven't even thought of. One of the most incredible websites, and I'll keep pushing it, is Elastic Stage. Elastic Stage is like Bandcamp, but it's real. They make CDs and they make vinyl. And I tell you something. If you just sit back and get involved in this, start making actual products, reaching out into the audience, doing something compelling, and I don't mean the music. The music's just, it's a side issue. It always has been. It always has been. You know, when I grew up and everyone was into the Bay City Rollers, it wasn't the music. It was the lads with their bloody tartan scarves walking around being all, you know, like jolly working class English lads, you know, and the girls liked them, the boys wanted to be them, they were rapscallions, and they, you know, and they did some nice pop songs with some hooks, but it wasn't bloody Mozart. It wasn't about that. It's never been about that. Get your head round it. If you're into real music, like we talk about here, if you're into real music, that's a minority thing, and you've got to get to the minorities. But there's loads of people doing it, right? So just doing it's not going to be enough. And so instrumental music, music that's quality playing and stuff like that, go look at someone like Martin Miller, or go and look at Starkey Puppy and see what they've done. See how they've done it, right? And the industry's changed. You don't need some poshy in a big garden telling you how to do it. You need someone who knows how to do it telling you how to do it. And I wish I could. But the truth is there's not enough of you watching this channel to justify me turning it over to saying ways that I think you could establish yourself as a creative musician and work out a way to just eke enough of a living so you can carry on being creative. Because that's all we want. That's all we want. We don't want a big garden. All we want is to be able to get up in the morning, do our creative thing, and be able to have some food on the table and not get kicked out of your house at the end of the month because you couldn't pay the rent. That's all anybody wants, right? That's all we want. You're not right-wing for thinking it, right? You're not right-wing for thinking, well, I want to keep my stuff on Spotify because it's a way that, you know, when I go and do a gig at a local bar and then somebody likes it and they go, are you on Spotify? And I go, yeah. And they went, oh, yeah. And they get their phone out and go, yeah. And they follow you. And that's what I'm doing it for, is that following. And once you keep working and you've got those people there, you will be able to monetize them, except nobody will tell you how to monetize it because everyone's too busy virtue signaling how terrible Spotify is. If someone's telling you how terrible Spotify, they are just showing off the peacock feathers of their leftistness. That's all they do. They sat there going, look how left wing and kind I am, and how I'm so empathetic to poor people and their lives. You know, I'm not going to tell you anything that will actually help you, but at least you know I'm a good person. That bloke thinks I'm a good person. If he sees this, and I hope he does, he thinks I'm out of order for criticising him. He thinks I'm out of order. He'll probably say, that wasn't my big house, and I can't help having a posh accent. Yeah, well, that's how you're coming across. This is what it's about. As soon as you step foot into this arena, that's how you come across. And you take those lumps and you work with it. You take those lumps. Right, I have to take being told I'm a far-right racist all day long. I have to take people insulting me, saying I don't know what I'm talking about, or I haven't done this, I haven't read this book, I haven't done that. That's why I had the joke about not reading books. Right, I do read books every now and then, but I find it difficult because my eyesight's so bad and it gives me a migraine, or migraine, depending on how you pronounce that. I say both, really. But yeah, I'm not a big reader anymore. When I was young, I used to get up and just read books all day long, philosophy books all day long. That's all I did. But now, no. What I do is I get online and I watch podcasts and I listen to stuff, and I basically plan YouTube videos. And I try and refine what I'm doing. We've come up to 3/4 of an hour of me talking about Spotify. Hopefully you've been entertained by this. Hopefully some people have got steamed up but had to stay to the end because they felt I was knocking something sacred. And other people have enjoyed the fact that I've given that, that bloody thing that can't be criticised a good kicking, which I have. And that bloke's had to take it. He offered to put the stuff up there. If he is at a poshie and that's not his garden, I apologise. But that's how it came across to me, and that's where we're at. Look at Andy in his big studio. He's making out he's all bloody poor. Look at the size of his studio. It's rammed full of gear. Yeah,
peace and love. 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 Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Don't hate.
Peace and love.
Love the little
Peace
man
and
with the
love.
glasses in the garden.
Love.
Love him. Cherish him. I cherish him. I love him. He is entitled to his opinion, and his opinion is valid, as is yours, Andrew. Peace and love. Let peace and love and light be with you. Let us allow those with contrary opinions to have those opinions. Do not castigate them. Don't castigate them for coming on and worrying about the robots on the battlefield, killing people. They're in their rights to do so. And you shouldn't be angry. You're too angry, Andrew. You're too angry. You need to talk about yourself in the third person like this. You need to exist in this place of spiritual awareness that we're in. Anyway, sorry about that. The battery ran out. I've had to go to another camera, and this camera's a bit funny. It's got a sort of he's got this sort of hazy bit. I quite like it though. I quite like the effect. It's an effect you can't buy. It's actually a broken camera. I quite like it. Anyway, what's the moral of this video? The moral is this. Spotify provide a product, and it's a way of getting your music out there to everybody. If it happens to be listened to by literally millions and millions, you might make a little bit of money out of it, which is quite good. But you don't have to pay for it. You can get it out there without paying. Well, that's okay. That's the service they provide. What do they do with their profits? Probably all sorts of horrible things. They probably do. But to single them out seems a bit silly, because lots of companies do that. And, they do it because they can take their profits and turn them into bigger profits, so they can support whatever they are getting pressurised as. But I don't know. It's best not to worry about these things. I know some people do, but I think it's hard enough to try and make it in the music industry without being, a saint, I suppose. So I come to the end of the video. And with that, I bid you goodbye. And hopefully I leave you in a much more somber and thoughtful state than when I started. My camera ran out of power, so I then had to charge this one up, and I've sat here for a while pondering on what I'm doing and the meaning of life. I've just received some bad news, and this is serious. I've received some bad news which has jolted me into the reality of the world. So, peace and love. Live and let live. Do what you want to do. They're my 3 aphorisms that I end this video with. Thank you for watching.
As comfortable as you were. If words weren't making sense, as slurs.